This is NDTV. And you're watching Ndtv-Hindu.
Good evening and welcome. The stock market may have been in the green today, but is a common man seeing red after Pranab Babu presented the union budget. A seasoned campaigner that he is, the finance minister knows his onions. But just what's in it for the middle-class salaried employee? The middle-class employee reeling under price rise of essential commodities, of onions and much more. What steps have been taken to fight inflation? To help those back-of-the-envelope calculations that many households have been forced to resort to with rising prices. Petrol and diesel prices look set to be hiked after the finance minister ignored calls for its reduction in customs and excise duty to contain the impact of a spurt in global crude oil prices that have touched a 2-year high of over $100 per barrel. Your mobile phones, refrigerators, home loans and cement will become cheaper, but your stay in hotels and hospitals which charge room rent of more than 1,000 rupees a day. Now that's virtually every standard private hospital that will cost more because of service tax. And if you earn up to 15,000 rupees a month, then there's good news for you. You don't have to pay income tax. Senior citizens have been given some relief, but what about the cost of medicines? Has the finance minister given out concessions with his right hand and burdened the common man with his left hand? I'm Sanjay Pinto. In just a bit, I'll raise some of the questions that are probably on your mind too, with relevant stakeholders, not experts, but relevant stakeholders. What's in the budget for you? But for now, it's over to my colleague Divya for the headlines.
Thank you, Sanjay. Well, here are the top stories making headlines this hour. Pranab Mukherjee plays it safe with his 6th budget, gets a pat from the Prime Minister who launched the budget.
You can't please all people, and the finance minister has done as good a job as was possible.
It's the right time to buy mobiles and take home loans, while air travel, gold and branded clothes will take big bucks from you. Taxpayers get a small relief. The exemption limit is raised, but no hike in tax exemption for women. Education and health sectors get a boost. 2 institutions in Chennai are favoured in the budget. Minister Karunanidhi calls this a welcome budget, says announcement on the caste-based census is a welcome step. But the opposition slams the budget. Jayalalitha says the budget is insensitive to the common man. Residency students turn violent over bus day celebrations. Police register 50 cases against them. Reports say 3 dogs were burnt alive in Parvati Ammal's spire. So what that her ashes cannot be retrieved? Vaiko condemns the disrespect. Well, Finance Minister Pranab Mukherjee, who invoked the heavenly intervention of Lord Indra for good rains and Goddess Lakshmi for good fortune in the course of his presentation of his 6th general budget, attempted a tricky balancing act between populism, good fiscal housekeeping and a push to reforms. So amongst the goodies for the common man are a much exempted tax exemption up to 1.8 lakh rupees. Senior citizens too have much to cheer about now. The age at which you get that tag and all the benefits that go with it has been brought down to 60. But service tax has gone up. That means both healthcare in private hospitals and air travel will now be costlier. But no tax exemptions for women. But the finance minister does insist that there are other sops in the budget.
Last year I provided relief to individual taxpayers by broadening the tax slabs. To take us closer to DTC rates, I propose to enhance the exemption limit for the general category of individual taxpayers from 1,60,000 to 1,80,000. The measure will provide a uniform tax relief of 2,000 to every taxpayer of this category. For the senior citizens who deserve our special attention, for them I propose to reduce the qualifying age from 65 years to 60 years, to enhance the exemption limit from 2,40,000 to 2,50,000, to create a new category of very senior citizens, 80 years and above, who will be eligible for a higher exemption limit of 5 lakh. I am yet to reach 80. Several years I will take. I propose to levy service tax on the following new services. Impose service tax in 2010-11 on health checkup or treatment. This levy has resulted in differential treatment between the persons who make payments themselves and others where payments are made by an insurance company or business entity. Thus, I propose to replace it with a tax on all services provided by hospitals with 25 or more beds that have the facility of central air conditioning. Though the tax is on the high-end treatment, I propose to sweeten this bill by providing an abatement of 50% so that the actual burden is kept at 5% of the value of service. I propose to raise the service tax on air travel by 50 rupees in the case of domestic air travel and 250 rupees on international journeys by economy class. I also propose to tax travel by higher classes on domestic sector at the standard rate of 10%. Women have done, not tax, but other areas I have done. Other areas I have done, but not in tax.
Well, Chief Minister Karunanidhi has welcomed the budget. He says the announcement on caste-based census is a welcome step. But the opposition leader Jayalalitha has slammed the finance minister for a budget that she says has nothing for the middle class. She says, and I quote, "In the face of all the issues confronting India, Budget 2011 is not just a damn squib. It is one of the most insensitive exercises as far as the common man is concerned. Except for a marginal hike in income tax exemption limits from rupees 1,60,000 to 1,80,000 rupees this year, for men there is nothing in the budget in this segment, which was substantially responsible for bringing the UPA to power for the second time. I would dismiss this as an opportunity lost to address the genuine concerns and problems of the people. This is a status quo budget which will benefit a very small segment at the cost of the vast majority of the people," and I unquote. And the State Secretary of the CPI has reacted to the budget. He says it doesn't give hope or happiness to anybody and that there is nothing innovative in this year's budget.
எதிர்பார்த்தபடியே இந்த பட்ஜெட்டில் புதிய பெரும் மகிழ்ச்சி தரக்கூடிய அறிவிப்புகளும் இல்லை, நம்பிக்கை தரக்கூடிய வகையில் எந்த புதிய திட்டமும் அறிவிக்கப்படவில்லை. வழக்கமான பட்டியலிட்டு சில சிறு மாற்றங்களோடு மீண்டும் ஒரு பட்ஜெட்டை பிரணாப் முகர்ஜி அவர்கள் சமர்ப்பித்திருக்கிறார்கள்.
Well, reactions have been pouring in from the much discussed Aam Aadmi as well. The common man doesn't seem too happy either. Lokpriya caught up with some of the Chennaiites. Let's listen into whether they think that they were benefited by the finance minister's budget.
Well, it's been a disappointment. I think just in general, although they've increased the exemption amount for men, it's a measly 20,000. I don't think the 200 rupees per month is going to cap the inflationary pressures we're feeling, much less for a woman now. It's kind of disappointing to think that they don't think it's going to make an impact on a woman's life. So I do think that they've done very little for the woman professional. As much as more and more women are vying for men's jobs these days, I still think there's a level of discrimination between how much a woman would make for the same position as opposed to a man. So for those reasons, I think a bigger differential would have made a bigger dent or an impact in a woman's life.
Senior citizens, what they have brought down from 65 to 60, that is a welcomeable suggestion. Though it is all under proposals, I think that should be passed. But any time, if you for persons who are going for a job at the age of 60, when they fall into the middle class or the lower class, this will definitely be welcomeable.
Yeah, as expected, nothing special has come out. By seeing the inflation for the past 3 months, I think the finance minister has not given a satisfactory things to the public. So he has just given a budget as a regular budget, not with the problem of a common man has not been addressed.
Petrol prices we expected something. ஏதோ import duty லாம் குறைக்க போறா கொஞ்சம் petrol prices கம்மியாகும்னு எதிர்பார்த்தோம். ஏன்னா most of us two wheeler users and car users petrol duty கொஞ்சம் குறைச்சிருந்தா நல்லா இருந்திருக்கும். We expected that. There is a disappointment on that.
There is actually no relief for the common man as such. Inflation has not been taken into control. It has not been taken into account. And definitely this common man, there is no relief for general, except for the income tax relief. There is no other relief for the common man. Definitely it is going to be a very hot days ahead.
As far as the service tax is concerned for the health sector, I think it is going to be costlier, and that will definitely affect the common man. And the housing sector, some concessions have been given. It's a welcome move, in fact. It will increase the loan portfolio for the banks, and the takers for the housing loan will be more. That's a welcome thing.
As far as this budget is concerned, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh has said that this could be an inclusive growth for this common man. But I don't see in this budget any inclusive growth of the common man or the common people or the salaried class, common middle class.
Senior citizens, nice move to reduce the age from 65 to 60. And the case of regarding, in our case, we expected the IT exemption to be around 220. But unfortunately, we got only 20,000 more.
And it's over to Sanjay now for the big question.
Thank you, Divya. In fact, we've decided to do something totally different. We've decided to let the experts rest, let the politicians, I know they have a lot of brownie points to score in an election season here. So we've decided to go to people who really matter. We've decided to get the common man here, a salaried employee here, Mr. NSM Kumar, who's here in our studio. We've also decided to go to a chartered accountant and author, Mr. M.R. Venkatesh, to give us really a sense of what this budget means. Mr. Venkatesh, first to you. I know you've also authored a book on the Sensex. Tell us, sir, what does this actually mean for the common man? Because this 1.8 lakh IT exemption limit seems to be some relief, but what is it really translated to into the actual wallet of that salaried employee?
Mr. Sanjay, look at it this way. If your basic exemption goes up by 20,000 rupees from 1.6 to 1.8, you get 20,000 rupees of exemption. At a 10% slab, that roughly translates to 2,000 rupees of tax bill cut, which per month translates to like 160 rupees per month, which means 5 or 5.5 rupees per day, which will be perhaps be sufficient to get you a single tea. So that is the largesse that the finance minister has given to the taxpayers.
All right. Just about enough for a single tea. I'm told even a single tea with the milk prices and all going up, even you won't even get
8 o'clock, 8 rupees, Sanjay, now.
8 rupees.
Good tea is 8 rupees. Totally for the salaried middle class like me. It is a disappointing budget and the directless budget as far as this.
What did you expect? You can't really expect the finance minister to be a magician here.
Yeah.
What did you really expect? How much income?
Finance minister, see what is happening. He wants to create a new class of 80 plus. But you want to punish all the senior citizens by imposing service tax on health sector.
We'll come to that. But as far as the income tax limit is concerned, how much
do you
expect?
It should have been 2 lakhs long ago.
2 lakh long.
Minimum 2 lakhs long ago. With double-digit food inflation, do we think a middle class can survive with all these?
What does your wife have to say?
Pardon?
What does your wife have to say about the budget?
Wife is very much annoyed. She is not even able to manage the vegetable prices. She says the finance minister has let us down on both the ways, on health as well as on food prices.
He's not really felt the pulse, so the pulse is really... Let's go back to Mr. M.R. Venkatesh. Mr. Venkatesh, again, senior citizens have got some relief, in fact, even Ms. Jayalalitha has given the finance minister credit. They're calling it imaginative, if you've actually read that statement, which he's issued a short while ago. Bringing down the age from 65 to 60, making them, eligible for benefits there. Also increasing the limit from 2.4 lakh to 2.5 lakh, creating that new class of very senior citizens, which Pranab Mukherjee is yet to reach, as he said jocularly in Parliament, 80 plus, 5 lakh exemption. That's some relief, surely.
Yeah. Exactly. These are all good measures, but the number of beneficiaries are going to be so small. In India, not more than 3.5% are taxpayers, of the entire population, of which the number of people who are going to be in the age of around 60 plus is going to be far less, and those who are above 80 plus, when our average age, the longevity is less than 70. Very rarely you will come across somebody who is around 80 and earning an income above or close to 5 lakh rupees to get this type of benefits. So these are all okay, good gestures. You can applaud them. You can say these are philosophical. You can just say that the finance minister has a larger section of his population in his mind, in his radar, but nothing.
All right, but actually maybe politicians are benefited. I mean, large number of politicians are probably reaching that age.
Yeah, perhaps people like Mr. Ramjet Mulani, whom I know is around 87 active and is also in active profession, could be one of the beneficiaries. But beyond that, if you look at it, I don't see any number of people who are going to be substantially benefited. This is not, the definition of Aam Aadmi is not somebody who is 80 plus earning 5 lakhs, definitely that is not your definition of Aam Aadmi or the common man.
Mr. Kumar, I want to quote statistics. I mean, 2001 census, more than 80 lakh people are above 80 plus in India.
Yeah.
20.2 lakh live in cities.
Yeah.
63% of them are illiterate.
Yeah,
so clearly there is some relief here. I mean, even if somebody like Ms. Jayalalitha, leader of the opposition in Tamil Nadu, can call it an imaginative step, there's some merit in that. Are we being a little too harsh on the finance minister when he's tried to do something at least?
Now, Sanjay, you have to analyze one thing particularly. He has not done anything for the middle class. See, he has given an exemption of direct taxes to a tune of 11,500 crores. But by the way, of indirect taxes, he has taken back 11,200 crores. So the net benefit is only 300 crores.
Let me bring in Mr. Venkatesh back here. Venkatesh, again, hospitals, I mean, it seems to be a slightly bizarre rule here that hospitals, private hospitals which charge a room rent of more than 1,000 rupees a day, they will be subject to service tax. Now, most private hospitals, any decent private hospital will charge much more than 1,000 rupees a day.
Centralized air condition. I don't know what is this. This is the revenge of the babus. You have some type of a hospital where you say that okay, if you have a centralized AC with so many beds, you come and pay service tax. And finally, health is a fundamental right. I don't know whether this is also constitutionally tenable, because you are entitled to some fundamental things. Tomorrow, if you go to the court, the very fact that lawyers have not been taxed as of yet is because you have a right to going to the court on any type of injustice meted out to you by the system. That is why lawyers have been exempt from tax. So similarly, I thought that the reason why you exempted doctors from service tax and other things was that health was a fundamental constitutional guarantee. Now you go and tax you being admitted to hospital, God forbid, but you being admitted to hospital and then you have to pay tax on it. It looks, I think, we are still, you must remember that we are a socialist government under the constitution, and I don't know whether the taxing of health is constitutionally valid.
All right, probably the UPA ally in Tamil Nadu, the DMK may probably talk about harp on the Kalaignar insurance scheme, especially with elections just a couple of months to go. But stay tuned to NDTV Hindu, to this special bulletin on the budget. We'll be back in a very short while from now.